the news tonight, Saudi authorities step up efforts to avoid a repeat of the Hajj crush last year, deploying drones to watch over nearly 2 million people as they ascended Mount Arafat ahead of Eid al-Adha. Turkish police fired tear gas to disperse demonstrators protesting the removal of mayors in Kurdish-run municipalities, a move described by party leaders as an administrative coup. And Americans commemorate the 15th anniversary of the 9/11 attack with the U.S. president leading a ceremony at the Pentagon in remembrance of those who lost their lives. Good evening and welcome to a new edition of the news. Nearly 2 million pilgrims ascended Mount Arafat at the climax of the Hajj pilgrimage. Saudi authorities deployed drones to watch over the pilgrims as part of stepped-up efforts to avoid a repeat of last year's crush that killed hundreds. Chanting, "Here I am at your service, O Lord," the faithful climbed the hills outside Mecca, where the Prophet Muhammad gave his last sermon. In another step to ensure the security of pilgrims, the Hajj Ministry said it has prepared a strict timetable for pilgrims from various countries to follow when leaving and returning to their accommodation. Saudi state news agency SPA said the Crown Prince Mohammed Nayef bin Abdulaziz, who is also the Interior Minister, supervised oversight as pilgrims used buses, trains and private cars to move from their encampment in Medina to Mount Arafat. Thousands of Iranian pilgrims gathered in Iraq's holy Shiite city of Karbala to observe Arafat Day after being deprived of attending the annual Hajj pilgrimage in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia accused Iran of seeking to politicize this month's event, saying that Iran was compromising safety with its actions. As Hajj at Holy Kaaba in Mecca continued, Iranian pilgrims observed Arafat Day at the shrines of Imam Hussein in Karbala, 80 kilometers southwest of Baghdad. Iraqi officials put the number of the Iranian pilgrims who have entered Iraq from its central and southern border posts over the past 3 days at over 1 million people. Over to Syria, where state television and fierce fighting and airstrikes continued in several parts of the country before a humanitarian truce coincided with Al-Adha Eid tomorrow comes into effect. More airstrikes were also reported in Aleppo and Idlib province. One strike in the town of Saraqib hit a civil defense center where civilian rescuers are based, injuring several, according to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights. Syrian rebels, meanwhile, said they will issue a statement welcoming the U.S.-Russian deal for a ceasefire reached in Geneva yesterday, but with reservations about what they described as the handling of violations by the government. Rebel groups have complained that they were not consulted about the deal, saying it largely serves the Syrian government and does not serve the people. The ceasefire will not apply to Daesh or Jabhat al-Sham, formerly known as Nusra Front. At least 21 people were killed in 2 separate airstrikes in northern Yemen as fighting intensified in the country a day ahead of Eid al-Adha feast. At least 15 were killed when warplanes targeted workers in the Beit Sa'dan area of Arhab district north of Sana'a, and 20 other people were wounded. A second raid killed at least 11 more and wounded 20. The Saudi-led coalition, which has been fighting to roll back gains made by the Iran-allied Houthi group, said 2014 and restore ousted President Abd Rabbu Mansour Hadi to power, says it does not target civilians. Turkish police fired water cannon and tear gas to disperse demonstrators outside local government buildings in Suruk on the Syrian border. The demonstrators were protesting the appointment of new administrators in 24 Kurdish-run municipalities after the removal of elected mayors over suspected links to militants. There were also disturbances in the main regional city of Diyarbakir and in Hakkari province near the Iraqi border, where police took down the local government flags and displaced them with large Turkish flags. The 24 municipalities involved in the administrative change were run by the pro-Kurdish opposition People Democratic Party, the third largest in parliament. The party denies direct links to the militants and has decried the move as an administrative coup. The U.S. Embassy in Ankara voiced concern at reports of clashes in southeastern Turkey following the government's decision to remove mayors in 24 municipalities on charges of supporting terrorism. In a statement on Twitter, the embassy said it supported Turkey's right to defend itself against terrorism, but noted the importance of respecting for due process and the right to peaceful protests. The statement went on to say, "We hope that any appointment of trustees will be temporary and that local citizens will soon be permitted to choose new local officials in accordance with the Turkish law." Britain's Interior Minister Amber Rudd said she was looking at a work permit system to control migration from the European Union, responding to Brexit voters' demand for tighter border controls. Although formal negotiations on leaving the EU have yet to begin, Britain is searching for a way to satisfy voters who wanted lower immigration and an end to open borders with the bloc, while meeting the needs for an economy in which some sectors depend on foreign labor. Earlier this month, Prime Minister Theresa May rejected a point-based system to screen migrants, steering fears among some voters that her government was not taking a hard enough line on key issues like immigration. Britain currently has a visa system for non-EU nationals, but under EU rules, citizens from within the 28-country bloc are free to live and work in Britain. Americans commemorated the 15th anniversary of the 2001 attacks, with U.S. President Barack Obama leading a ceremony at the Pentagon. Obama laid a commemorative wreath outside the Pentagon, then addressed a gathering of victims' family outside a flag-draped Pentagon. He told family members he will never forget. On that day, September 11, almost 3,000 victims were killed in the worst attack on U.S. soil since the 1941 bombing of Pearl Harbor.
Groups like Al-Qaeda, like ISIL, know that they will never be able to defeat a nation as great and as strong as America. So instead they try to terrorize in the hopes that they can stoke enough fear that we turn on each other, and that we change who we are or how we live. And that's why it is so important today that we reaffirm our character as a nation. A people drawn from every corner of the world, every color, every religion, every background, bound by a creed as old as our founding, e pluribus unum. Out of many, we are one. For we know that our diversity, our patchwork heritage, is not a weakness. It is still and always will be one of our greatest strengths.
Presidential candidates Democrat Hillary Clinton and Republican Donald Trump attended a 9/11 memorial service in New York, marking the 15th anniversary of the attacks. At the Memorial Plaza in Lower Manhattan, the ceremony included the recital of the names of the dead, tolling church bells, and a tribute in light at the site where New York City's Twin Tower tumbled. The ceremony was held by two reflecting pools with waterfalls that now stand in the tower's former footprints and watched over by an honor guard of police and firefighters.
Mark Bruce.
Clinton left the ceremony early, becoming suddenly ill, overheated, as the campaign spokesman said. But she later emerged seemingly in good health, saying she felt great. Here's more.
Democratic presidential candidate Hillary Clinton said she was feeling great as she greeted the press after emerging from her daughter's apartment building. Earlier today, Clinton became overheated at a September 11th memorial ceremony in New York City and departed the event early according to a campaign spokesman. Spokesman Nick Merrill said Clinton went to daughter Chelsea Clinton's apartment in New York and is feeling much better. Clinton departed the event after about 90 minutes. While the ceremony was underway, Merrill said he gave no further details about her condition. After Clinton left the event, US media reported she had fallen ill. Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump repeatedly has raised questions about Clinton's health and whether she had the energy to serve as president. In December 2012, Clinton, 68, suffered a concussion and shortly afterward had a blood clot. In a letter released by her doctor in July, Clinton was described as being in excellent health and fit to serve in the White House. Lloyd Balkar for the news at 10.
One of Sri Lanka's most colorful annual events took place last night, filling the streets of Kotte with music, dancing, and elaborately decorated elephants. Starting from a 600-year-old Buddhist temple, the street pageant of Perahara made its way through the area, with onlookers impressed by the 44 dance troupes and the 28 decorated elephants. The highlight of the parade was a casket carried on top of one of the elephants, which is believed to contain the relics of Buddha. On the parade, which continued on until this morning, was being held for the past 117 years. Germany's Angelique Kerber began her reign as world #1 in imperious style, battling past the determined Karolina Pliskova 6-3, 4-6, 6-4 to win the US Open final and claim her second Grand Slam title of the year. Kerber, who officially takes over from Serena Williams as the world top-ranked player tomorrow, underlined her #1 status. The 28-year-old began the Grand Slam year, beating Serena Williams to lift the Australian Open title and celebrated again yesterday when she became the first German to win the US Open in 20 years.
Then to being more aggressive and go for it when I have the chance, not just hitting the balls over the net, just playing my game, because I know that when
Hyundai's Dani Pedrosa became the 8th different MotoGP winner in 8 races to deny Italian great Valentino Rossi a home victory in front of 100,000 flag-waving fans at the San Marino Grand Prix. Rossi, 37, finished second ahead of Yamaha teammate and reigning champion Jorge Lorenzo at the Misano circuit in eastern Italy. It was the first time since the Motorcycle World Championship began in 1949 that 8 different riders had won 8 successive races in the same season in the top category. And finally, it remains fair for the rest of tonight with northwesterly light to moderate winds. Tomorrow, the kingdom continues to be affected by hot air mass, with the maximum temperatures remaining in the mid-30s in most regions and high of 33 in the capital. The Gulf of Aqaba, high temperatures prevail with northerly moderate winds and relatively calm seas. Next are the lows and highs for tonight and tomorrow. And to end the news, here's a recap of our top stories. Saudi authorities step up efforts to avoid a repeat of the Hajj crash last year, deploying drones to watch over nearly 2 million people as they ascended Mount Arafat ahead of Eid al-Adha. Turkish police fired tear gas to disperse demonstrators protesting the removal of mayors in Kurdish-run municipalities, a move described by party leaders as an administrative coup. And Americans commemorate the 15th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks, with the U.S. president leading a ceremony at the Pentagon in remembrance of those who lost their lives. And with this, we come to an end of Rajluni. Thank you for watching. Have a good night.